Welcome to Pathways to Aviation. This is our second workshop of we have 20 workshops taking place this week as part of our big career symposium. It's a week-long celebration of aviation and aerospace careers. We hosted a panel earlier where we talked about job announcements that are available throughout the country. There are over 20,000 live active positions available on our website. So that is pretty cool. It's a good indication of what's happening in the industry. Well, right now, as I mentioned, it's our second session, and we have three extraordinary leaders who are going to talk about aerospace careers. It's our first career panel of the week, and we always seem to love starting with aerospace engineering. So what we're going to do is Eric and I are going to step away, and we're going to hand the reins over to Marlis Pryor. She's one of our incredible mentors, and she is going to moderate this panel. So Marlis, take it away.
Greetings and felicitations. Hi, everybody. I'm Marlis Pryor, and I'm your momentary host. We've got an interesting morning for you, and let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I got here because I've been working with Pathways for quite a while. But I have a degree in aeronautical engineering from New York University School of Engineering and a master's degree in business management from the University of Laverne in California. I started out with performance and handling qualities and at Sikorsky Aircraft. Didn't know a darn thing about helicopters when I started, but I sure learned fast. Went from there to General Electric Aircraft Engines, to Belcan Technical Services, to Rolls-Royce Aircraft Engines, to McDonnell Douglas, on the C-17 program. Mostly what I have done is project management. On McDonnell Douglas, I was the group leader for the qualification testing on the propulsion system for the C-17 cargo aircraft. So I have a checkered background in aerospace, but I'm game to questions. I've done everything from manage an engine shop to I can turn a wrench. I know, I can tear down an engine and put it back together again. I don't have an A&P or anything like that, but no tools. So, we're all open. We have varied backgrounds. We're all open to questions. So please do not hesitate to question. I'm in the Carson City, Nevada area, but the only continent I haven't been on is Antarctica. So I'm open to everything, but I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to our first panelist, Mr. Larry Crapo, who is president of the Lawson Group, and he's going to give you a little bio on himself. Larry?
Thank you, Marlis. Hello, as she said, my name is Larry Crapo. I started out my career as an A&P at Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics in the East Coast. Transitioned there to Grumman American Light Aircraft and was a lead on their final assembly and delivery to flight line there for all their single and twin engine line at that time. And then was recruited after that to Bell Helicopter International, where I got the exciting opportunity to be a helicopter instructor for 214 helicopters and Cobra gunships for the Iranian Army. So I was physically located inside Iran on the Iraqi border in 78 and 79, and had the unfortunate experience of joining Club Fled in 1979 as we left in a hurry. But that experience gave me the opportunity and the funds to come back to the U.S. and go to Northrop University, where I finished my undergraduate engineering degree in aircraft maintenance engineering, as well as my master's in management technology. At that time, I was recruited by Martin Marietta Aerospace out of Denver. They hired me as a senior quality engineer, and I ran their vendor programs on the West Coast mostly for shuttle, MX missiles, Spy in the Sky, Titan programs, etc. And once the aerospace boom had softened there, I went right from there and started my first tech company, and have pretty much been a serial entrepreneur since then. And so now at the Lawson Group, I work with small and medium-sized tech companies.
Hey,
awesome. I guess I'll go.
Logan, no.
I'll go next, I guess.
Representing Purdue University and ClickBond is Logan Krantz, who's currently where? He's basically out here, I guess. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm in Reno, Nevada right now.
All yours, Logan.
But yeah, so Okay, thank you. Anyways, yeah, so I'm only a year and a half graduated from Purdue University. I graduated from Purdue University with an astronautical engineering degree, or aerospace as most people in industry call it. Now I'm working as a design engineer with ClickBond. But while I was at Purdue, the stuff that I got into there was the design build fly team at Purdue, and then also I was on a couple of different research programs as well. One of the research programs that I was on was a research project that designed and tested small satellite propellant tanks, and we actually got to test those on a zero gravity flight, or the Vomit Comet that the NASA astronauts train on as well. So that was an awesome experience to do. And then I also had an internship with Rockwell Collins up in Iowa, and they do avionics for aircraft. And when I was there, I worked on their AW609 program, which is actually a tilt rotor. So it was interesting because we had to combine the avionics for helicopters and airplanes all into one system. So it was interesting because the helicopters have a lot more avionics capabilities in them, because there's a whole bunch more of heliports than there are airports, or just airports, because a helicopter can land at both. So that was an awesome program to work on. But during that internship, I definitely learned that I was not the best at coding. And also I didn't want to get into that kind of work. So that was a great experience for me though, at that internship, to learn that. And that's why it's great to have internships, so you can see where you want to fit into the industry that you want to work in. Because I always knew aerospace was for me. Then since I've been here at ClickBond in Carson City, Nevada, which is just 30 minutes south of Reno and 30 minutes east of Lake Tahoe, I've been on several different programs, whether we've been doing projects for Airbus, Lockheed Martin, or Northrop Grumman. ClickBond is an aerospace fastener company that makes adhesive bonded parts. So we don't really drill into the aircraft with our parts. All of our parts are adhesively bonded to the aircraft. So it's been amazing working with some of our customers, which are industry leaders like Lockheed, Bell, Helicopter Sikorsky, Pratt & Whitney, Airbus, Boeing, you name the aerospace company, we probably give them parts. One of our biggest companies that we work with is Lockheed Martin, and on the F-35 program, we supply over 4,000 parts on the F-35. So that's a little bit about what I do and what ClickBond does as well.
And see, as I'm the plant here, to try and keep things moving, I'm going to throw out a couple of questions to Larry and Logan. And we'll start with, let's see. What do you, Larry, or you and your company, Logan, look for in new hires?
So typically what I look for, if possible, of course, we all look for experience. But we know that a lot of young folks coming out of college don't have that. Maybe I look for internships, and I highly encourage anyone, if you're in university level or any kind of school, that you get internships. They're very valued by potential employers, that see that you have skin in the game, that you're chasing that as a career. I also look, in lieu of experience, for extracurricular activities that are career related. Okay, what organizations did you join and volunteer to participate in to see that you genuinely had your head in this game? This is really where you want to go. I also look for attention to detail. And we'll get into this later, I'm sure, but I look at your resume, make sure there's no spelling mistakes on it. Okay, most employers want to hire somebody that pays attention enough to their resume that there's no mistakes on it, and pays attention to detail. And so that's my thumbnail sketch of that.
Logan?
Just a couple things that I know that the company that I work for, ClickBond, looks for. Besides some of the tangibles, like having experience, and besides having like 3D modeling experience or knowledge in that world, because we do a lot of design here as well for fasteners or parts that hold aircraft parts together. some of the intangibles that we look for are some of the same stuff that Larry said. I mean, couple of the things I wrote down are a willingness to learn. You know, we want to know that, sure, the industry that we may be hiring you for, you may have little experience in, or you may have experience in a different part of the industry, but we just want to know that you, like when you get here and you start at the company, that you've got a willingness to learn as much as you can, so that way you can make a difference as soon as you can. We're also looking for great communicators. There's a lot of projects where you're not just the only person on them, or you're working with lots of other people. So we want to make sure that you have the communication skills, whether that's paying attention to the details in a report, or making sure that you just are able to communicate to other people that, hey, I need this project to be done with this little task. Can you do this for me by this date? And just making sure that if somebody's doing something for you, like a machinist or another engineer, you're communicating with them as to exactly what you need and when you need it by. And then also, I guess I kind of hit on this already, is being a team player. We do a lot of work together in teams here, and being able to help one another on a project, because maybe somebody is stuck on a problem and they may ask you, hey, can you come here and look at this real quick? I just want to pick your brain, see what you think on this. Being able to be a team player and help one another is something that ClickBond values as a whole with our value system.
Hey, opening it up to the floor. For all of those out there, I don't see a list of everybody, and I won't. But if you have any questions about what we're talking about right now, please type your questions into chat so we can go from there. And is anybody out there right now? Type it in if you have something, please. I don't see any. Come on, folks. There's got to be some questions. You got these, three nuts up here. You might as well, see what kind of wrench you can put on us. Nobody? On that note, I'm going to say, okay, then what's a typical hiring process, gentlemen? Logan, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Okay. So the hiring process can differ quite a bit here at the company, but I'll go with the most standard process is usually there's an application. So whether you apply in person here at our main office, which you can come up to at any point in time, it's still open during the pandemic. So you can come in, make sure you're wearing a mask, of course, and hand us your resume and tell us what kind of positions you're looking for. And the person at the front desk can put you in touch with an HR representative who's literally sitting at a desk probably 20 feet away, and they can answer any questions that you have for them. Or you could do it online. You can go to our website at clickbond.com, and there's a company webpage on there. And if you click on the careers button on that webpage, it'll take you to all the positions that we have open available. But I will say this, though, that we do a preference in-person applications, just because it's a more personable time. We get to see a name with a face, and also it helps us remember your name in the hiring process too, which is good for us and you. So that's what the hiring process usually looks like. And then there's also like 1 or 2 interviews that you have with the hiring manager.
Okay, my typical process that I've used over the years is, of course, application resume review. And as I mentioned earlier, can't emphasize enough on having several people review that resume before you submit it. I've had resumes with their own names misspelled, which doesn't look very good in an interview. So we typically, after that, if we decide to move forward with that person, we do a phone interview. And of course, today, since we're using Zoom and everyone's using Zoom now, again, make sure you're prepared for that Zoom interview. Eye contact, don't fool around with stuff on the desktop when you're doing that. Make sure you're focused on the conversation that's going on and not distracted. If it gets past that level, then we go to 1 and maybe 2 face-to-face interviews. And those are really important because you get to make eye contact directly with someone. You can, at least I can tell if somebody's lying to me or not in a face-to-face conversation. You just look at them straight in the eye. And if it's a more technical position, I may bring someone else in for a second round of interviews. And then I always tell the people during the interview, so I'm going to call your personal and your business references after we get done here. What are they going to tell me? Okay. And you'd be surprised about how many different answers I get that don't reflect what the resume says. Okay. So be honest, because I check all personal references, all business references. And
Okay,
so
related to
obviously looking for honesty and integrity.
Okay, related to that, we have a question from Kayla. For those who are about to graduate and are not able or have not been able to get an internship experience, how do we show companies that we are a good hire? Larry?
Well, we did talk to that a few minutes ago. And so the extracurricular activity.
Expand on that, please.
Sure. Okay. So what is her name? Kayla?
Kayla.
Yeah. So Kayla, if you can respond in chat, what type of career path are you going down? Because maybe I can be more specific if I see that information. Is it aerospace or is it aircraft or
mechanical
engineering? Okay. Okay. So there's societies out there for mechanical engineers that you can get involved in. Okay. And you can get involved with that at the college level, pre-employment level. And so that's an extracurricular organization that you can get involved in. There may be there's startup groups in a lot of towns. Okay, there's incubators in towns for mechanical engineers to get experience in, and that's a great place for an ME to get experience before they get employed, because these startup companies love to have you come in and help out for free. Okay, and that's a nice resume build. Okay, to say you were part of this tech startup and you did this and that for them, and get a good reference. So that would be my best advice along that.
Logan, have you got anything to add to that?
I do have a few things, but yeah, I loved what Larry said right there was if you can't find any internship experience, if you can go to a place like a startup and work there for free or volunteer at something like that, honestly, that gives you real world experience. And usually those tech startups are in a leading edge in industry too, usually. So that gives you great experience to be able to put on your resume. Besides that, if you haven't had any internship experience, I would say try your clubs at your university, whether it's little design competitions or just groups where you can show I may not have this internship experience, but these are still clubs or organizations where I was still able to take the knowledge from the classroom and apply it elsewhere, or apply it on a project, or apply it outside of the classroom in some kind of way. Just showing that you can take that knowledge in the classroom and put it into the real world and use it, whether it's a competition, whether it's in a club or anything like that, is great stuff to put on your resume and stuff that people will look for as well.
Okay, I'd like to add a little bit to that too, because I've reviewed a lot of resumes and interviewed a lot of people. One of the other things that you can highlight, even if you don't have the college, go back to your high school, the clubs you belong to, the service organizations that you contributed to. Any organizations, college or high school, gives a picture of what you're capable of, the things that the responsibilities that you're willing to take on. So if you emphasize that type of stuff also, because it all counts. One of the things I used to do was, the first thing I looked at was the high school, because that gave me an idea of what you were like to begin with. And then I confirmed, did you carry it on through college and beyond? Are there any other questions from the panelists?
Marlis, I did a quick lookup. I recall this from most engineering universities have this organization on campus. It's the ASME, it's the American Society of Mechanical Engineers.
Yeah, there's mechanical engineers and the equivalent for electrical, structural, etc. All of your organizations along those lines, membership in those. For women, Kayla, Society of Women Engineers also. Because they also give out scholarships, along with ASME, IEEE, etc. All of the technical organizations provide job sites. People post their jobs to them also. So they are a tremendous resource.
Yeah, and also the AIAA for the aerospace industry.
Correct. Well, everybody, there's an organization for everybody, even the street sweepers probably. Any other questions
Hey,
out
don't
there?
knock the street sweepers and
Hey.
the janitors. I worked my way through the beginning of college doing that.
These hands have never been clean. Any other questions out there? Well, if not, I'm gonna throw something out. We've talked a little bit about this already, but how you can prepare for positions. Logan's mentioned it, Larry's mentioned it, I've mentioned it a little bit. But now I'm gonna, let's take it a little bit more into depth. I'll start with Larry this time, please.
Thank you, Marlis. I can't emphasize enough the importance of reading a prospective employer's website in every detail that you can. Go through the entire website, look at if it's a publicly traded company, look at their stock market reports, look at their press releases, so you're on top of what's new and going on with the company. Do your Google work on the company to see what else is out there. Because I can tell you that an interview stops for me when I ask at the very beginning, so can you tell me what it is we do? And if I don't get an answer to that question that's reasonable, honestly, the interview's over, because you don't care enough about my company to know what it is we do. You're just showing up for a job. Okay, so that's, number one. Obviously, dress the part. Okay, dress for success. Okay, don't show up in sandals and shorts, and a bad hair day. Practice mock interviews. Okay, and I know Peter is great with pushing this at Pathways. I've always pushed this. Practice mock interviews. If you don't have a college friend or buddy or professional, preferably a professional who's interviewed people before, practice this, the eye contact, the answering the tough questions, because experienced interviews, like most of us here, we can read body language real well. Okay. Okay. And when you start looking down at the table, we know you don't have a good answer for that question. Okay. Or we start seeing the eyes wandering, blink rate go. So do that. Come prepared with intelligent questions. Okay. If you're showing up without questions, it looks like you're really not interested in the job and you really haven't read the job description very well. And of course, to add to that, make sure you completely understand the job description and ask those questions beyond the job itself. Go into the benefits. Make sure that they understand that you're seriously interested about this job, but you also want to know, how it's going to help you in your career as well.
Logan?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate all of what Larry said and say ditto. There's nothing like showing good body language and showing a good face when you go to an interview, for sure. Being able to put on a presentable image and being able to show that you know exactly what this company does that you're applying for and what they do exactly shows you're passionate about that industry already. And you're interested in getting a foot in the door and getting into that kind of industry that they're involved in already. Again, other things that you can do to prepare for these kind of positions or the positions that you're looking for are try to find things in school where you can find stuff that the companies that you want to work for are looking for. So like if I know when I was about to graduate and I was looking at the companies I wanted to apply for, I knew I wanted to be in the design area. So I knew I needed to get CAD experience, and being able to get that kind of experience under my belt was huge in making sure that I had those to reference on my resume in trying to get a position, because I could show them like, hey, I've used this in the classroom. I've used this in the real world for not just industry, but also for my personal uses as well. So just showing that you're passionate about whatever position you're applying for goes a long way, because if you show that you're passionate about that area, they know that you're willing to go that extra mile or pay that extra attention to detail in making sure that this project, it goes as smoothly or precisely as possible, from wherever you're working.
And to add one more recommendation to that, make sure you have a LinkedIn account set up. I know Peter pushes that a lot, Pathways pushes that a lot, absolutely essential. And once you have that account set up and looking great, look for other people in the positions in that company, okay, that you're interviewing for, and reach out and see if they will accept your link to them, okay? Start a dialogue with them, okay? And so maybe you can get some insider information, okay? And it really shows an employer you're really doing your homework when you do that.
Okay, I'm gonna throw another question out to you folks. What do you see, Larry and Logan, as the future of aerospace engineering? Is it a good field to get into? Because there are a lot of arenas. Aerospace is an umbrella name. It covers, like, I have a degree in aeronautical engineering. That's a subset of mechanical engineering. This is for you, Kayla, in particular. When I got out of engineering school, they were just beginning to hire women. So one of the things you got to be able to, as you know, I don't care whether you're male or female, black, white, green, or chartreuse, is get along with everybody. So I'm gonna, just for what that's worth, but what do you guys see as the future of aerospace engineering? Of aerospace, period, not just engineering.
Right. Well, I think, we've seen our cycles. Logan hasn't been around long enough to see the cycles in aerospace like a few of us here have. So like every industry, we've had cycles in aerospace, and it's good to see companies like SpaceX and other companies getting into the game, the private enterprise sector getting into aerospace. That's huge. Where it's not just NASA and other companies doing this. And so I think right now and for the foreseeable future, when you have private enterprise getting there and doing launch vehicles and putting payloads into space and being able to land a spacecraft back on Earth again, that's just amazing stuff. And so I think that the potential is huge. And also, when you say aerospace engineer, let me tell you, having been behind the curtain, there's a lot of different fields in an aerospace company for you to work in with that engineering degree. And so you have, pure straight up aerospace design, and then you have reliability engineering, and you have quality assurance, and you have all these other aspects that all tie in as part of the team to help build a great product. And so you might start thinking while you are working on your aerospace degree, what section of that industry do I want to work in? Okay. Because they're all very different. Some people are more hands-on. Some people may want to be more theoretical, more scientific in their approach. So there's just lots of places in aerospace for everybody that has that.
Logan?
So yeah, I think the future is definitely going to be in unmanned aerial systems, to be honest with you. Whether it's Uber trying to look into getting some of those Uber little helicopter devices that'll take you from one place to the next, which I've read up on. And there's a couple other aerospace companies that are going completely electric or trying to find out how hydrogen can be used as a propellant. So, I mean, I can tell you though, from talking to our salespeople, our salespeople know like where the new customers are, where the new industry is going. And a lot of them have been talking to people like Google about aerospace stuff. Uber, they've been talking to companies in Europe too, as well, going in the drone industry. We've got a lot of new customers here at ClickBond looking for tons of different ways in order to handle their wire management systems, or they have a design problem where they need an injection molded part and they need it to look like they need to do certain characteristics, because that's what we do here at ClickBond. We do injection molded parts and we do wire management systems. So, or we do panel fastening or any kind of fasteners that you need for your aircraft or drone or any kind of system that you need. So obviously, I think it is great to see SpaceX and all these different companies like Blue Origin as well, showing that they're going into the private sector of space as well, along with Virgin Space as well. So it's nice to see those industries booming as well, just to get more people in the game, get more skin in the game, and make things cheaper for the industry, so there can be more opportunities for other companies out there. But the way that I think a lot of the future is going is towards unmanned systems and being able to have an F-35 control 20 little drones around it, or having a little bomber airplane being able to control drones to protect itself, or whether the drones are not in the military sector, they're in the commercial sector for Uber or for commercial transportation, whether it's in hydrogen or electric propulsion. There's just a lot of opportunities in those fields that I could see growing in the future.
And just as an aside to that, talking about drones, drones can be anything from the size of something that fits in the palm of your hand to something the size of a 727. I worked on one program where we were supplying aircraft engines for, well, the Navy and the Air Force. None of them classified, but the aircraft were as large as a drone, as large as a 737, pardon me, a 737. And they managed to land one on an aircraft carrier too. So if you're really, really good at controlling things, it's another career. I mean, it's a career path that is wide open because, as Logan says, more remotely controlled devices than ever.
Well, and Marlis, to add to that, for those that are playing a lot of video games online and their parents are getting after them, I'll tell you guys, that hand-eye coordination could work perfectly in a career of unmanned aircraft. So sorry, yes. I'm hopefully there are no parents on the
I'll second that. Having worked, on the periphery of that type of industry, but I'm going to also ask. I've got a couple of other questions to throw out there. How about the culture of a company? How do you really ascertain the culture of a company to make sure it's going to be compatible with what your values are? And I think that's very important too. How do they operate their business? One possible method or another source of information is running a Dun & Bradstreet report on a company. That gives you a history of the company also, as whether it had ups and downs and whether, which way they're going today. And you might learn something. I learned to do that a long time ago. But I think both Larry and Logan have talked a little bit about that, but if either one of you have got some comments along those lines?
Yes, I do. That's very important to check into that because, it used to be you just had to take a job and not worry about the culture because you didn't have much choice. But those days are over, and culture has become more importantly, a part of your workforce experience, right? And one of the things that I ask when I interview people is, what motivates you to come to work for me? Okay. And if I hear it's just about money, I don't hire them because you can go make more money somewhere else, I'm sure. Okay. But the cultural workplace, for me, is very important. I want it to be part of both my personal experience and the employee's personal experience. I want them to feel like family, like part of a team. Okay. And so how you verify that? A couple of resources. Glassdoor. Okay. Glassdoor.com. Okay. Is a great resource. Okay. And of course, you have to filter out the embittered employees who were fired, who will never say anything good, versus those where you can see have both rated good and bad things about the company. Okay, I use that a lot. That's very insightful when I want to do business with a company, how they treat their employees. Other ways of doing it is looking at LinkedIn again, okay, and going through LinkedIn and seeing articles on LinkedIn and such like that about those companies, and then reaching out to people inside the company, like I mentioned. Nothing like going straight to the horse's mouth and trying to find out from current employees how they feel. But more and more in this generation, the work experience is valuable. And if a company doesn't have a great one, they really don't value the human resource, and they're going to lose them.
Logan?
Yeah, I would say if you're obviously I haven't heard of any of the whatever report that was that you called, Marlis. What was that report called again?
Dun & Bradstreet. What it basically does is looks at, gives you a company history, whether their ups and downs financially, whether they've Rolls-Royce had to be bailed out, or companies along those lines, whether they've been successful on their own or they've had to have help. Because right now, recession, Rolls-Royce is laying off another 6,000 people. Boeing just announced it's taking the Dreamliner, the 787 Dreamliner, out of Washington. That means it's all going to get done in South Carolina. There are all kinds of things along those lines that are going to tell you something about a company. The Dun & Bradstreet will have a lot of that information because you're not going to get all of it on their websites. They're not quite that honest. So you got to dig, and that's just another tool, another shovel to use to dig to get information.
Okay, yeah, that's great to know. I've never heard of that report before, so I'll definitely have to use that
It predates
in my
your
own
age.
future. Okay. All right. Well, hey, it's always good to find the tips and tricks of the industry for sure. But
Still hard
the
knocks.
the DMB report.
But sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Me personally, the way that I found out if ClickBond was going to be a good company to work for was in my interview process. I asked them like directly, face to face, what are the values of your company? I asked the hiring manager that right away. And they were like, they were taken aback by that. They were like, okay, I don't usually get that question, or you're the first one to ask that. But I know that at ClickBond, like our values here are definitely family oriented. I know from the CEO and down, he wants the ClickBond organization to feel like the ClickBond family. And you hear that wording thrown around almost on a weekly basis here at the company, the ClickBond family, because we do throw lots of family day events. We just threw an employee appreciation day event where we went to the park, socially distanced, had a personal pizza party, and we had a great time. But it's good to know what kind of organization you're getting into and what kind of values they hold themselves true to, whether it's integrity or whether they want like a family setting, or they want you to just be on your own most of the time and just get the work done, or if you're going to be like a remote employee, because that's a way the industry is going as well. Is sometimes you may not be in an office every day. Seems like in the future you may be working from home. So it's hard to figure that out. But I'd say the best way that I saw myself doing it was just asking the employer during the hiring process or the hiring manager, what are the values of your company, and what do you guys do to try and make sure you keep your employees happy as well as us trying to keep the upper management happy, because it's a symbiotic relationship, you got to be able to work together.
I'll add a little bit to that. You're more likely to get an honest answer from a smaller company than a larger company, because a lot of times at the larger companies, you don't really get to talk to anybody who can answer those questions. I'll say that from experience, personal experience.
Yes.
I would get it at my management level. I would sometimes get that kind of question, but it was a rare question for an interviewee to ask. And they're good questions.
Right. Marlis, I see we have a question from the audience on supersonic flight.
Yeah, that was going to be my next, but I wanted to finish out on the culture, because there's a lot of things about culture that we don't really think about. But we do have a question from Daniel Lucas. What's the future of supersonic flight? Can I respond to that one a little bit to start with? There are a couple of companies out there right now that are looking at designs. The biggest problem with supersonic flight is why it got banned in the United States. It's because the overflight noise, the sonic boom. That's why the SST went down. And I remember standing at the Paris Air Show, and behind me was the first mock-up of the SST. And it was really interesting to walk through it, et cetera. I couldn't even stand up straight. And I'm only 5'3". That's been one of the drawbacks is you can't get a lot of people in, but there are a number of proposals on the boards right now where they're addressing that problem. If you can get rid of the sonic overfly, the sonic boom, find a way to mitigate the effect on the ground, because it's like a trailing cone. As that aircraft goes through the atmosphere, it trails a cone of sound behind it. The sonic boom is not as it goes over your head, it's later, because it's just speed of sound. So there are a lot of things. There is a potential, based on a couple of articles I've seen in the last 3 to 4 weeks, actually. I'm bad on names, so I don't remember the company names, but there are several proposals out there. Several of them are, 2 of them at least, are for not regional, but for private jets. If they can develop that technology, then it usually can be scaled up. But in order to do that, you got to get there first. So, but if Larry or Logan have anything to add to that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I can add something. Yeah, I can add something to that. So I actually, a good friend of mine that I went to engineering school with has been part of some of the testing at Edwards on F5 to work on eliminating or reducing the effects of the sonic boom. And they've been making great progress. But the military side of things, I mean, what we did with engineers that designed the SR-71 in the late 50s and early 60s, what we did was amazing with that aircraft, considering how, what we had to work with back then. There is an SR-72 on the drawing boards and supposedly at the Skunk Works, according to Scuttlebutt. If those of you may know, the SR-71 publicly was a Mach 3 plus aircraft. Engineers later revealed that they actually designed it for 5. And so what we have capability of now is getting beyond what humans may be able to endure. And so the SR-72 is going to be both a unmanned and manned prototype, at least for first flight. That's what I'm hearing anyway. And so I always love the Concorde, the SST. I reflect what Marla says about that, it was a very tiny, very small aircraft, very expensive to ride in. But I know there is a big demand for both commercially and militarily to have that speed back again in supersonic. So I think as far as careers, jobs wise, I think you're going to see those positions available.
Yeah,
fact,
I do know that.
Oh, go.
Go ahead.
There's a company in town actually working on that, hypersonic.
Logan?
Yeah, so just from talking to other friends of mine who are in industry, whether they're working at Boeing or Gulfstream or Rocketdyne or wherever they are, I do know that there are some applications where they are looking to redirect that sonic boom. So being able to not propagate it down, but propagate it up into the air, so that way it's away from people and can redirect that noise level somewhere else. So that's just one application that I've personally heard of. But yeah, I think they are trying to get back into that. I do know that we got into it eventually, but of course for noise restrictions and efficiency and energy purposes, aviation tended to go away from that for the commercial use. But they're looking at it again for sure, because there is a huge industry where for business, especially if you could get somebody to New York to China or New York to London in 2 hours or something like that, same day, there's a huge market for that.
So to the comment about trying to redirect the sonic up, if you can get the noise, if you will, to go north or up, the atmosphere being less dense, the sound doesn't carry so. It also, the speed at which it carries is entirely different, because the speed of sound is all a function of temperature and pressure and all those good happy things. And Larry, what happened to you? You just disappeared.
Well, he looks like he's on fire. He looks like he's on this white fire trail or something. I'm not too sure.
I think I have some
Larry,
backlighting going on.
Larry,
I have some
are you going
backlighting issues
supersonic right now? Are you going supersonic right now, Larry?
Absolutely.
Or did Star Trek sneak in here and you're being teleported?
He's getting ready for Halloween. We got Casper the Ghost.
Anybody out there, please ask questions. That's what we're here for. We enjoy the questions. Don't be the least bit shy. Because I'm not a very good talker, so I can't talk forever. Well, no, don't say that. Don't get yourself into trouble.
Well,
Don't talk too much.
And Marlis, to add to that, I know that Pete had put this in chat, but for those that are looking to connect with one of our panelists or our moderator, Marlis, please let Pete know, and because everyone's got Pete's connection or contact information, Pete will go ahead and make sure you guys get connected, because one of the things that we don't do, because we respect your privacy, we don't share emails, nor do we share any phone numbers in our chats. But if you guys want to connect with any of our panelists or Marlis, let Pete know, and we'll make that happen for you guys.
Yeah, we're always happy to help anybody we can.
For sure, same here.
Right. And I think Marlis, if we're done, I think with the questions, you want to just go ahead and wrap us up?
As Eric gets yes, no distractions. We've had two very gracious gentlemen here, Mr. Larry Crapo and Logan Krantz. I'm lousy on names. I'm great on faces. So if anybody's name I mispronounce, I apologize now, and please don't jump on me. But I hope this has given all of you some insight into where engineering is going. It's not just aerospace. Aerospace encompasses everything, like I said before, electrical, mechanical, chemical, because like as Logan says, like some of the materials that they're using these days for suborbital rockets, for rockets, etc. So there's a need for everybody, and there's specializations under all of those headings. Like I said earlier, aeronautical is basically a subset of mechanical. I wanted to be the first woman on the moon, but my allergies wouldn't let me go. So aim high. I've had one hell of a career in being an aerospace engineer. I worked with, my customer was the Air Force, my customer was the Navy. I got to travel with the Air Force all over the planet, and I love traveling on somebody else's money.
I think that's the OPM, other people's money.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's right.
That's right. That's a good move. But Marlis, thank you for moderating. You did a fabulous job. And Larry and Logan, thank you for the insight that you gave our folks on the workshop, and really appreciate that. And again, the other thing that our panelists and Marlis can offer you is, whether you're in college, I know some of you guys are mechanical engineers, which is great. I'd connect with these folks through Pete immediately to see what job opportunities are out there and what's happening. But also, if you're in high school or middle school, these are fabulous folks to connect with, to have them basically mentor you and help you figure out how to get where your dream career is, whatever that might be, whether it's an engineer or whatever that might be. These are the folks to connect with. But hey, real quick, is ClickBond have any big job openings out there?
So yes, we do.
I can't help myself.
So I do know that we do have a position open for internships and for people in high school as well, and it's called our Special Projects Assistant. So we call it that because there is really no project that we can't put you on. We really don't know where we need the help until we have the help to put it someplace. So you could be doing anything from doing time studies on production floors to helping us do drawings for some parts with CAD modeling. You could also be helping us do lots of different things, whether it's contacting customers or being an interface in a lot of different ways, or helping us. And again, I can't really get into it because I don't know exactly where we need the help just right now. But again, if you want to apply for the Special Projects Assistant, that is a position that's open year round. And if we do see you have the experience or the talents or the capabilities that we're looking for, we'll take you on and we'll give you experience and we'll put you where we need the help. If you can help us.
Logan, is there an age limit on that?
No, not that I know of. I think you gotta be over the age of 15 or something to work in the state of Nevada. I don't know.
What if your background is in horse racing or something silly like that? Would you guys be willing to take someone that even has a horse racing background?
I bet somebody can find a relationship.
Yeah, I bet you can find a relationship. Yeah.
The answer is yes.
I do know that one of our production managers had a background in raising horses. And so now he's the head of a couple of our buildings in production here. So I could give you his contact information and see if he'd be willing to reach out to you.
Let me hit Pete. Pete, there's hope for all of us, brother. I'm just saying, man.
I appreciate that.
I just, I'm always looking out for you, buddy. Well, again, I want to thank our panelists, Larry and Logan. Thank you for carving out the time to do this. And Marlis, thank you for doing a fabulous job moderating this. And Pete, anything in closing before I do the sign off?
No, we have a show at 1 o'clock. We're talking to Aviation, and they're an incredible magazine that targets high school and college students to pursue careers or just enjoy aviation in general. So we've got that planned. And then tomorrow our focus is aircraft maintenance.
Outstanding. Well, it's great seeing everyone on the call, and look forward to, I know a couple of you are repeats from this morning, so that's exciting. And I'm sure a couple of you will be repeats later on this week. So anyway, looking forward to seeing you at the workshops later this week. Thanks again to our panelists and Miss Marlis. And guys, we're going to sign out. We're out in 3, 2, 1. Have a great day, guys.